A sea palm video. Remember, God is watching. This is Sea Palm Enterprises, Rough Cut Creations. We are a very small family business, mostly just a couple of rentals, and we all work full time. That's why we don't make a lot of videos. Here we're kind of continuing on with our journey with the Woodland Mill Sawmill we got a few years back. This is a pile of logs that we got from a friend of ours that we bought. He's a logger, and he dropped them off right in front of the mill. If you don't have a tractor or a skid loader, I mean, we have a Ford AN, which is older, and we'll drag things off with a logging hook off the PTO, but for the most part, we have to drag them one at a time. So this actually was kind of a godsend. So we paid to have the logs delivered. There's some hemlock, there's some white pine, there's some cedar. We bought the mill mostly to help financially repair these rentals with quality materials, but cheaper. Wood was pretty expensive a few years back, and so we cut a whole bunch of logs. The thing is, I don't have a dryer, and unfortunately we have built a few things or repaired a few things at some of these sites. But what we're going to do for our next video is we're in the process of our rental up there. It's about 3 miles away from this spot, and my wife and I are building a kitchen island and trying to upgrade it. It's a place where people come and rent for the weekend for ATVs. We used to do snowmobiling, but it's just not worth it. The snow hasn't been that great. But we do run an ATV trail, so it works out pretty nicely. So what's going to happen here is I'm using the Woodland Mills loader. I wish I would have hydraulics. I'm going to probably try to build something. Woodland Mills is a quality machine, but it doesn't do hydraulics. It does have a new power head where you can raise and lift it with a button, which we're thinking about getting it. But right, you see there's basically a marine crank, and as you can see, it gets it only so far, and it kind of gets canted on these really big logs. So I get the part off, and then I get the other side on. It does work pretty good with my bad shoulders and the fact that you didn't see many videos because I fell into a table saw a few years ago, and of course that was, not a good thing. But right now, I also picked up a few tips and tricks on the log stops in the back. I use PVC pipes. It helps turning. It slides real easy. And for the most part, for what we use it for, it works pretty good. I'm also planning on starting to build some tables, some resins, some different things for sale. I already do some gear mounts for people. I've been doing it for free, but that's got to change and start now that I'm getting good at it. We got a laser etcher, and we can do your picture, we can do sands, and we can do carvings. I do some Dremel carving. We will do some of that in the future. Fortunately, we all have jobs, we all need insurance, and YouTube stuff. I don't have the time making videos like I'd like to. Unfortunately, bills have to be paid. So we're going over, we're making this, we're cutting this big piece of pine. The reason we're doing that is we're using some of this, and we'll be using some of this on this project we got coming up. So this has been drying for a little while, and so it'll kind of lead into the next step, which is us building the kitchen island. That's something you've seen just bits and pieces of me doing, like porches, and I did a pergola. It's not really a pergola, it's kind of an outdoor height. We came up with this cable system to put heavy duty tarps around it, sit out there in the winter. Kids got us a gas fireplace, so we'll kind of go over and look at that someday, but right now we'll stick with this. So I'm getting this big log ready, and it's going to get me slabs, it's going to get me 2x4s, it's going to get me 2x6s. I guess it all depends on what you want to accomplish with your mill. Some people literally make it a mill business where they're cutting slabs for people, and who knows down the line what we might do. I know I plan on making more furniture. I've been doing deer mounts for friends. I've got a laser etcher, so it's kind of cool. Can put their pictures on, sayings, different things. But that's all nice and dandy, but what we really need to do is start making the furniture to sell, which I'd like to do down the line, which I will. I've been making furniture actually a long time, but I'd like to make it out of my own wood that I cut. And most of the stuff I've done, I've usually done for charity work and such like that. Well, we're going to speed this up a bit, because here's where I take apart the loader and start getting ready to level the log off. And that part is pretty tedious, especially when you don't have hydraulics, and I don't. So I do have a leveler jack that fits underneath there, and that does work pretty well, but it takes you some time. But we'll go over that in a little bit. So right now we'll just let you watch a fat old man wander around the mill and work on it. So now what you're seeing is me getting the log ready. I'm measuring, trying to find the center, trying to get the log in the best place. We'll be using the jack to level it out. You'll see me use a level and various things. So we're kind of making plans on how much wood and what kind of wood we want. We would like some slabs out of this one, and I know I wanted some dimensional lumber out of it also. It's been a while since I did this, and a lot of that is in a pile. It's been drying for a while. So as you can see, I'm just kind of getting everything lined up. Shortly I'll be removing the ramps, and you'll see me do that here shortly. So what I'm doing now is I'm using the jack underneath it to try to get this log leveled out. We're not gun barreling this, we're just trying to get as much board foot as we can out of it for the things that I want to do. We'll go over what gun barreling it is in another video, but right now we're just trying to get it level so that I can get a good cant and a good square cant and get the boards that I want to get and the kind of grain I want to get out of it, and we can go over that right now. But so what you do is you have to kind of measure and level. I have a level, and what I just pulled out of there now is the jack, and you have to take it to the side that's the worst. And what I'm doing is trying to put it so I get as much of a cut and don't waste as much wood. We're not quarter sawing this, so we don't need to gun barrel it. Gun barreling is basically you find the center, the true center, and it doesn't matter if there's bigger on one side or another. You'll see where the growth rings start, and then they work their way out from there. Right now, like I said, I'm just looking to get some slabs out of this. The one thing that the problem is I don't have a solar dryer or anything, which would be nice. So a lot of the wood we cut a few years ago, we'll be using in the project that I talked about earlier, which is the kitchen bar. It's not a bar, but a kitchen bar. You know what I'm talking about. So right now I'm going through and trying to get everything leveled and measured and lined up so I can get a really, really, really good cut. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the level, taking the log jack to try to toe bore, whatever you want to call it, trying to get it set up so I can get a nice level cut. And so this is a lot of work, especially if you don't have the hydraulic. As you can see, it's a manual jack. It works really well, actually. It's got a nice flat surface and fits perfectly between the rails, and I can slide it in and out, and you can adjust it and you can turn on it, so it's meant with a flat surface, so you don't have to remove it when you have time to turn the board. And then you can take the screw jack part of it. You can also use a drill, which works pretty well. It's got a little spot that fits in it. You can just put one of those bits in your drill and you can raise it or lower it however you want to. So now, right now, I'm just getting it ready so I can do that first cut. Take as little as I can. I'm going to build my can. So you're going to see that in a little bit. And like I said, this isn't quarter sawn, so you're looking either for a four-sided cant, depending on what you want. Sometimes, if it goes really well, I just slab cut it right down. If everything looks good, depends on what I want for lumber. So that's half the battle. You gotta know what you want. So a lot of people don't when they're new. That's fine. Play with it in the beginning, but you know, eventually you're gonna have to make sure. Because you know, wood is money. Like I said, I cut my own wood. I got 40 acres up there in the homestead, and we have a lot of different trees, and we could cut our own. Unfortunately, kind of expensive to just practice, and you got gas, you got everything else. So now you can see we're getting everything moved out of the way, and we're getting ready to start the cut. So we're going to start it out. I have a crank lift on the head, the mill head. Woodland Mills makes a power head now. I'm thinking about ordering that. I hear it's supposed to be pretty decent. You're also going to see, like you talked about earlier, hopefully when we build a milling shed, we can put some lifts in the ceiling and do the same thing. I'm in the market for a used track. I've been looking for a while. That'll come in handy too. Hopefully I'd like to get one with a bucket and pistons so I can put a grappler on it. And switch out with a bucket at times. That'll help with moving wood and grabbing logs as we cut our own. Because we do cut our own. Some of our first logs we cut were our own logs that we cut. This was a lot nicer. This year we should add more this year, but we had a lot of rain last year, and the loggers get stuck on the hill, so I've got a lot of lumber unfortunately sitting there, possibly. Hopefully it doesn't rot. We'd like to pull it out this year. I've got an old Ford 8N that we'll drag it out with. I bought for this operation for the rental. Now the Woodland Mills doesn't have hydraulics, which I've mentioned before, but it's a good machine. It'll start right out. It has electric start, so it's not like you have to pull started. And you have to get used to lining it up. The other thing you have to make sure you do after it sits for a little bit, make sure your head cables are still square. I'd always put a level on that. Make sure where it's sitting is actually there's gravel underneath it. That keeps things in a very straight, narrow fashion. You may have to do adjustments based on if the cables stretch out. I do drop the cables and drop it into a rested area so you're not stretching on it. The other thing is the band for the saw blade. I also take the tension out of that. It helps the saw blades last longer, easier on the bearings and everything. So we'll go all into that maintenance and stuff down the line. There's a million videos on it. But right now we're just getting ready to cut, and that hopefully it's going to be pretty cool. Okay, here I didn't show you, I flipped it. When I flattened the bottom end, that means it's straight and true. So I didn't show you the part where I literally flipped the log, so you can see the flat end is at the bottom. In the beginning I was talking about dimensional lumber, but this one I believe I'm going to slab a few pieces first because I really want that before I turn it into a square can. Thank you for watching. This is Sea Palm Enterprises, Rough Cut Creations. You have a blessed day. Remember, anyone who's anybody stays at the Country Cottage in Armstrong Creek, Wisconsin. This has been a Sea Palm Enterprises video. Thank you, and God bless.